Hello, hello, and welcome to Tuesday's Lunch Break Live, where I share simple, applicable tips you can use immediately to help you reach your goals and live your healthiest and happiest life. So today, we're going to talk about overthinking. And I don't know if y'all know this or not, but a lot of these live videos are inspired either by things going on in my life, things that I struggle with or have struggled with in the past, or conversations in coaching that I've done with clients or friends. So it's usually, yes, I try to plan ahead a little bit, but usually it's kind of spontaneous from week to week as to what topics I talk about. It usually is something that has come up in the previous days, or like in this instance, it came up getting ready for this video. And so the topic today is overthinking, and we're going to dive into that here in just a minute. But first, let me introduce myself. I'm Kim Clinkenbeard. I have helped thousands of people over the last 30 years take back their health and reach their goals through fitness, nutrition, and mindset. And today I empower women 40 and over do the same through my mind and body transformation program. Okay. So overthinking. I know many of us, especially women, overthink quite often. This is a conversation I have a lot, and this is something that I do a lot. And in preparation for this video, I could not decide what topic I wanted to do. I had a plan from a couple weeks ago for this week. I also had a plan B, and then this morning I had a conversation with a friend and client who sparked me to think about another option for this video. And so in preparation for today, I was just everywhere. And I thought, okay, I am way overthinking it, and maybe that should be the topic of the video, is overthinking it. So I'm going to share with you some strategies that I use to pull myself out of that overthinking cycle and refocus my attention, and also some of the effects that overthinking has on your health, your physical as well as obviously your mental health. So let's talk first about maybe some symptoms of overthinking. So if you're experiencing some of this, you might be an overthinker. I feel kind of like this might be Jeff Foxworthy material, like here's your sign, and this is kind of here, maybe you're an overthinker if. And so maybe you're an overthinker if you are exhausted physically and mentally. Maybe you're an overthinker if you lose focus and are distracted easily. Maybe you're an overthinker if you have a difficult time finishing tasks and you have little unfinished projects all over the house or the workplace. Maybe you're an overthinker if you spend an enormous amount of time rehashing conversations that you had or conversations that you didn't have. Maybe you're an overthinker if you lose sleep or have difficulty staying asleep or getting to sleep. Anything around sleep. If you have trouble sleeping, you might be an overthinker. Let's just generalize that. You might be an overthinker if you find yourself, what I said, lack of focus, but also procrastinating. And maybe being distracted in the sense that you put things down and you just sit and dwell. Or you find that you are reading something, but then you are like, I have no clue what I read. We've all done that at times. But a lot of times if you're an overthinker, a chronic overthinker, you will not comprehend lots of material. If you sit down to read or do a task, then you lose focus and you don't comprehend what you were reading, or you forget where you were going, and you just end up at your destination, or even worse, you're driving to a destination, but out of habit and muscle memory, you end up somewhere else and you don't even remember getting there. That might be a sign that you're an overthinker. So what does this do to our mental and physical health? So let's track this back into that aspect. So fatigue obviously is going to be one, but overthinking, chronic overthinking, can lead to anxiety, depression. Obviously, if it's trouble sleeping, that's going to lead to some physical ramifications as well, like overeating. You will tend to graze and overeat as part of distraction and compensating or coping with overthinking. And this could be overthinking about multiple things. It could be work, business, relationships, health, topics for videos, whatever it may be. We can overthink just about anything to death. But it will lead to some massive physical stress, which then in turn also leads to trouble sleeping, trouble with exercise and fatigue. You're not going to want to do anything, and it also affects your environment. So it's kind of a vicious cycle. A lot of times, overthinking is a direct reflection of your environment, and we're going to talk about that in another video because that's what I had planned for today. So it can be affected by your environment, but your environment can be a product of overthinking as well, and we'll hash that out in another video. But overthinking can be detrimental to your whole entire life. So it's important to understand what it is and then also recognize when it's happening. One way you can recognize when it's happening is to have your circle. We've talked about the importance of your circle, the people that you surround yourself with. We are what the average sum of the 5 people we hang around with the most. And so having those people who love you and from out of love that you can go to and say, okay, I'm kind of overthinking some things, or I'm stuck in this thought pattern, and to have them talk you through it and bring you out of that is super helpful. Have your friends. My husband is a great resource for me, but your parents, whatever it is, whoever it is, you can have those people in your life to kind of rein you in when you're having these overthinking moments. Another tip that you can do, and this is what I actually did, is be physical, meaning that I stopped what I was doing. I was overthinking about the topic of today's video, and I had 4. I started off with 1 and ended up with 4. And so I literally put it down. I stopped doing it. And you can only have, this is a scientific fact, you can only have 1 thought in your brain at a time. You cannot be thinking 2 things at the same time. So if you replace what you're overthinking with something else, something that really makes you focus, math, right? Which I'm not saying I did math problems, but even measuring, baking, you have to focus on the recipe, okay? You have to focus on something different, something new and something different that requires you to concentrate on it will help pull you out of that overthinking cycle. And then getting physical, moving your body. Action, doing something different is a great way to break a thought pattern, whether it's overthinking or an anxiety or a stress thought or whatever. And we know that overthinking will lead to stress, which also leads to paralysis, and you have poor decision making, right? You're indecisive. So if you find that you're indecisive and you're having poor decision-making skills or whatever, then it's important to break yourself out of that as quickly as possible. One other way to do that is to journal all those thoughts out of your head. I'm a big journaler. I promote journaling a lot. And one reason is because if we live up in our head and our thoughts are kind of dictating our actions, right? Then we need to get that out of our head. And a lot of times that's really difficult to do, especially if you're a professional overthinker, which meet the mayor. So if you have a difficult time kind of getting out of your head, a great tool is to get it on paper. Now you don't have to keep it. So you can write all your crazy down or all your problems down or all your thought processes down, whatever it happens to be that you're working through. Get it down on paper. You can rip it up. You can catch it on fire. Whatever you want to do with it, it's up to you. But getting it out of your head and tangibly on paper does 2 things. One, it breaks the thought cycle because you're having to focus on writing. And then 2, it allows you to see what is actually going on in there. And to then decide, okay, is this a gravity thought? Meaning, Gravity is not something we can control. So if the thought, your overthinking thought, is out of your control, if it is a gravity thought, you can't do anything about it, then you can recognize that you're having that. You can pray about that, give it to God, get it out of your head, rip the paper up or catch it on fire, whatever is more fun for you, and get rid of it and get it out of your head. And then use distraction of doing something, action taking, exercise, baking, whatever it is, to redirect your thoughts. Okay, so big proponent of journaling and taking those thoughts captive. Part of doing that is getting them out of your head, right? Hopefully, guys, I want to know if you are an overthinker or if you have ever had a moment where you overthought something that led to paralysis, indecisiveness. You just literally did not know what direction to take because you just overthink, and there's too many options at that point, and it paralyzes you. I would love to know that. Raise your hand. I have done this a lot, and I want to know if that's something you struggle with often or not, and you can message that part to me. You don't have to put that in the comments, but in the comments, raise your hand if you have ever overthought or if you are an overthinker in general, and I will reach out to you on Messenger, and I'll give you a little something to help you with the journaling, a little journaling prompt to help you kind of get those thoughts out of your head, and a little bit more on how to process that information. If I'm gonna hang out here for just a few more seconds. If anybody, I know a few of you are watching, and I thank you for that. Thank you for watching and hopping on here live and sharing your lunch with me. I really do appreciate that. And if you wanna ask me a question really quickly or hash out some of your overthinking, if you've got that going on, go ahead and reach out in the comments, and I think I can see you guys commenting in here. So if you want to ask me something really quickly about this, I would love to hear it and answer your questions. As I wait for those to pop up, and again, if you're watching the replay, you can write replay and ask your question, and I'll be sure to answer that. So yeah, Jamie raised her hand. Yeah, I know, overthinkers, right? And I think women tend to overthink a lot more often than men. I do know, I mean, my husband has had some moments where he was overthinking some things, but I think chronically speaking, women tend to do this a little bit more so than men do. I think we have a harder time compartmentalizing aspects of life. We kind of throw everything into one big pot. And so that leads to a lot of overthinking. I am putting together a new group that's free. It's a free group, and I'm going to invite you guys to come in there. I will be posting about that. And this is where these lives will begin to take place come in January. So I'm going to stop doing as many lives on my personal page and start doing them in this group, which is going to be centered, and there'll be a lot more information in there as well. There'll be a lot more videos and some tips and tricks and everything for health and wellness and all of those things. So watch for that. If you want to be in that group, I would love to have you in that free group so that you get that information. But just remember that these videos will start transitioning over into that group come January. So it's important to get in there if you decide you do want to continue watching these. I appreciate you guys again. Please like and share with anyone that you think might benefit from the video and find it useful. I appreciate that. And if you're watching the replay, write replay. And if you're an overthinker like me, raise your hand in the comments. I will reach out to you with a little journal prompt to help you process that. Thank you guys for watching. Love ya. Bye.